Welcome back to our trip along the longest shortcut through Australia. This is part 2 of our journey. We spent a quiet night at Nomad's Rest, deep in the desert, about 70 kilometers west of the Warburton Roadhouse. The silence out here is unlike anything else, broken only by the distant rumble of the thunderstorm, the wind sweeping across the landscape, and the haunting howls of dingoes somewhere in the dark. It was raw, remote, and absolutely unforgettable. A little eerie, but kind of magical too. This is the Great Central Road, and we are heading west, across the heart of Australia. Nomad's Rest. Very nice, cool and quiet camp. And it's just off the road. Stretching over 1,100 kilometers from Yulara in the Northern Territory to Laverton in Western Australia, the Great Central Road is the longest shortcut in the country. It's a journey that takes us through some of the most remote and untouched regions of Australia, offering a true sense of adventure and discovery. Our drone reveals the sheer beauty and vastness of this incredible land, while the sun is casting a golden glow over the desert landscape. The Great Central Road is not just a journey, but an experience that will stay with us long after we've left its dusty trails behind. we're just pumping up the tires because looks like we have bitumen all the way now. Simon is inflating the tires back to normal. And while you're doing that, I'm enjoying the wildflowers. Look at the prettiness here. Super cute. 400 kilometers in that direction is Warburton, and that's where we're heading tomorrow. We will go for another free camp tonight, and tomorrow we will spend the day and the night in a caravan park. Just do some washing and cleaning and stuff like that, and then we will continue with our travels towards Perth, which is another few hundred kilometers. Might take us another week or so, we'll see. Depends on how far we go. I guess we're going via Kalgoorlie, and then we will see. We have Hayden on our list, the Wave Rock, but we're not sure if we're doing it this time or if we keep that for later. We'll see. In the meanwhile, I'm showing you some more pretty wildflowers around here. It's beautiful. Look at this. Super soft. And then we have these little purple flowers here. They're coming from this grass here. No, not true. They're coming from this tiny succulent. Look at this. They're pretty. So tiny.
94 charging.
Are we ready to do the last stretch to the roadhouse?
Yeah.
All good with the tire pressure?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So we are back on
Bitumen.
And before we damage the tires, so we pump them up. I don't know how long the top is going.
But even if we go back on gravel, it will still be better quality or better condition than what we experienced in NT.
Yeah, but
Come here, I get your bottle and you just close the caravan. Yeah, so it is 11:30, maybe another half an hour to the roadhouse, and then we may have some lunch, we'll see.
yeah.
Definitely filling up the car, and then heading to the next tree camp. Interesting. Very interesting. Alright.
Check the outside.
We had to tighten the elastics from the stone stomper a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it was extremely stretched, carrying all the mud and gravel that we collected on the way. But now it's nice and tight, hey?
Yeah, it's
All good again. Yeah, better than before. But you can tighten it up by just, taking in some of the elastics. We will do that later with the center pieces as well. You can do that underneath. You see here where the nuts are. That's where you can just short the elastic if you have to. But yeah, it's pretty much an easy job. But I would say, yeah, do it when the stone stomper's dry, not while it is still wet. Otherwise, you don't have a good indicator how much you have to take in. It's sitting nice and tight again, hey?
Still.
Not too much, not as much. Like you did, like 10 centimeters.
This much.
Like 20, I mean. 15 centimeters. Yeah. Okay, so someone is ready to continue. Alrighty, off to the next roadhouse. It didn't last long.
No.
We just stopped to let the tires down again.
Yep.
How many kilometers? Maybe 70 or something? On blacktop?
On blacktop? No, not even that.
Not even
50 maybe.
No, yeah, and now we are still not at the second last roadhouse or the last roadhouse before Warburton. Sorry, I can't pronounce that one. It's a very weird name. But it's another.
If you're coming from the eastern side. So
how many kilometers? Let me have a look here. That's not the one. Hang on.
It's up there.
So that is Tjukayirla, something like that. Google to the rescue. Tjukayirla, that's how you pronounce the name of this roadhouse. And I really had to look it up. I wasn't able to actually pronounce it just by reading the name. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Tjukayirla or Tjukayirla. Tjukayirla. Pick one that is right. I have no idea. Another 67 kilometers.
The most remote roadhouse in Australia.
Oh, that's what they claim to
That's
be.
what I claim, yeah.
So we are stopping there. It looks like they have a nice menu. Maybe we have some lunch there.
Yeah.
And then we self-cooking tonight. Just having a piece of bread or so. But yeah, 67 kilometers on that, I'm guessing. And then filling up the car, having lunch, and looking for the next stop overnight.
Yeah.
Overnight stop.
Yeah, it's going a bit more corrugated here, that's why I let the car.
Yeah, it's pretty corrugated. It was too stiff for the.
Some Yeah, better that way than...
Pitstop number 4 or number 5, I have no idea. But we are not in a rush. So, okay. Let's have a look what it looks like. Front right. Oh, yo. Bit soft here. Not that bad. Oh, well, it doesn't look bad.
No.
But look on the other side how much soil you have moved.
Yeah.
Look at that.
There's a 7 ton pushing.
No, here. 3.5.
Yeah,
Not
7
7. It's not why. What do you think 7 ton? The car's 3.5.
Yeah, and the van on the back. Push too.
So that's also for the ground bar. You see that? It's not that bad when you walk on it, but the weight of the car and the caravan when you stop, when you brake. Can you put on 30? Yeah, back on 30. And monitoring if it's staying that way. Or if we have a leak, which we don't hope so.
Lucky we got everything on board.
Yeah, even the tire puncture repair kit.
Yeah, let's do it. You watch traffic?
I watch the traffic. Oh my god, yes. All free.
Okay. Yeah, that shows me up, sorry.
Show 30.
Yeah, maybe that. This one. It's just
The gear we carry, huh?
Yep. Just for.
But then you see, we need it.
Yeah.
You just leave it there.
When you're going a road like this, you need something to pump up your tires.
Oh
and,
yeah,
and let them down.
Something reliable. Not one of the cheap compressors that we had in the first petrol, eh?
Yeah. No.
Where you have blown a few fuses just to pump up one tire. That was an experience. That's what you learn from, like, you know, if you go with cheap stuff.
If you buy cheap, you get cheap.
Exactly. If you buy cheap, you get cheap.
And if you're doing roads like this, you need
Yeah. We turn the compressor off again. Yeah.
You need stuff
Yeah.
you can trust.
Absolutely. Boy, flies.
And on every stop,
Double check it. You have done everything.
Check everything.
Yeah.
It's tight. Everything is good. Just walk around. Have a check.
Yeah. Alrighty. Let's guess. Do you think we make it in one go to the Roadhouse now, or do we have a stop? Do we have to stop another time? Hey, Dudley. You're waiting for your drink, huh? You're thirsty. Alright.
And when you drive here, the most important thing, UHF radio.
Okay.
We try to talk to too many people on this road here.
Yeah, don't respond.
They don't respond.
Yeah, don't respond. Sorry, God. Okay. Let's see. the Tjukayirla Roadhouse, you can actually buy a bar mat. That's what we did because we love having bar mats on our outdoor kitchen here. And of course it features a dingo and the road trains, absolutely. But then I don't know if that Trabant would actually have made it through the heart of Australia, because I put some background information into the video about this one. That is the car that was on the roads when I grew up, because I'm from East Germany, and that is the iconic East German equivalent to the Volkswagen actually. So yeah, Trabant, even with the quaggy at the back, that was the very famous caravan that the Trabant actually could tow, because it was made from the same material like the car. Yeah, and then you have the Camels here. But it is a very nice and funny composition, like, you know, not that the Trabant would have ever been on a Great Central Road. Well, I'm not aware of. If you are a Trabant owner and you have been through the heart of Australia with your car, please let us know. I'm very interested. I'm very curious to see what was it like. So yeah, that's our little souvenir from crossing Australia from east to west, apart from all the other videos, of course. I know there are some car lovers watching this channel, so here are some fun facts about a car that was around when I grew up in East Germany. Some of you may know I'm from East Germany, and back then the only car I knew, or two car models that I frequently saw on the streets were the Trabant and the Warburton. And the Trabant was the most common car in East Germany. And yeah, here are some fun facts for all who are interested. If you don't want to know these facts, just jump on to the next stop in the timeline. But yeah, I have collected a few information from the internet for you, as far as I can remember anyway. So the Trabant was a series of small cars produced from 1957 until 1991 in former East Germany by the car manufacturer VEB Sachsenring Automobilwerke Zwickau. It featured detachable Duroplast body panels on a galvanized steel unibody chassis, front-wheel drive, a transverse two-stroke engine with 26 horsepower, woohoo, and an independent suspension. The Trabant was also called a Trabi in East Germany. Like, you know, you Aussies want to, or like to put nicknames on everything and shorten everything. So Trabi was the name for this kind of car back in East Germany, and still is. Everyone in East Germany, or maybe in Germany anyway, or in Europe, will know what a Trabi or a Trabant is. Still, even 30, 40 years later. So the engine was a two-stroke engine with 2 cylinders, and the curb weight for this vehicle was about 600 kilogram. It had, as I said, 26 horsepower, and took about 21 seconds to accelerate from 0 to its top speed of 100 kilometers per hour. And I can tell you, I even was able to do 110 on the Autobahn, but that was downhill. 110 kilometers with backwinds and a little bit downhill. The engine produced a very smoky exhaust and was a significant source of air pollution. Oh yes, I still have the smell on my nose. 9 times the hydrocarbons and 5 times the carbon monoxide emissions of the average 2007 European car. So yeah, it was not very environmental friendly. Since the engine was a 2-stroke, oil had to be added to the 24-liter fuel tank at a 50-to-1 ratio. Because the Trabant had no fuel pump, its fuel tank was above the engine, and this increased the risk of fire and front-end accidents. Earlier models only had a dipstick that was inserted into the tank to determine how much fuel remained. So, you had a feeling how far you can go with one fuel tank. And just before you reached that distance, you just stopped on the side of the road and checked your dipstick, and you saw how much fuel was left, and if you better had to go towards the next service station. And by the way, seat belts, especially in the rear, there were no such thing like that. And still, our children survived the rides in a Trabant. We even had the prams, the top of the prams sitting across the rear seat with the baby in the pram, and no one cared. But yeah, I'm glad that these days the cars are so safe. But yeah, children's seats or baby seats, there was no such thing back then because you couldn't secure them in the back seat anyway. In total, more than 3 million Trabants had been produced during the East German time, before they actually stopped production in 1991. And the average waiting time for this kind of car was 10 to 13 years. So everybody who is complaining these days to wait for a car for 7 months to deliver, think about it. You pay a deposit to receive your Trabant, knowing it will be maybe 10 up to 13 years later. And if you were lucky to find a second-hand model, that would have been double the price of the brand new Trabant because it was immediately available. If someone was selling his Trabant, you had to pay at least double of the normal price for the new Trabant. That was incredible back then. I didn't own a Trabant before 1992, actually, when I did my driver's license in my early 20s.
Under the hood was the two-cylinder, two-stroke engine with a 0.6-liter displacement and that familiar putt-putt sound.
Tjukayirla Roadhouse is located about 300 kilometers east of Warburton. And after filling up our car with petrol for $3.10 per liter, again, it was the same price all the way in every roadhouse along the Great Central Road, actually. So after filling up the car, we just stopped on the other side of the road because there is a very interesting stop where you can wander around and stretch your legs and have a look at the beautiful landscape there. It is affectionately known as the zoo due to the animal faces that can be seen in the shapes of the rocks, including an elephant, if you have a very good imagination. So you wander around and you look for all these faces, all these animals that you may or may not see in the shapes of the rocks around you. Very interesting and a very good stop to take a rest and just enjoy the place. about 80 kilometers west of the Tjukayirla Roadhouse, we found off the road, about like 2-3 minutes off the road, a nice camp spot. Actually a very huge area that is frequently used by travelers by the looks of it, because there were a lot of small fireplaces around. A small road leads into it, or actually 2 roads, no, not even roads, like 2 pathways, you could say. You can just, access them with your caravan, and that's where we spent the last night before actually coming closer to civilization again. That was another very, very quiet and beautiful stay. Lots of wildflowers again. We didn't do a lot of filming because it was still extremely windy. However, Simon managed to get the drone up and just captured the landscape here around. And this is our final footage for this episode before we, in our next episode, will continue to Leverton and to another 3 spots where we stopped before we actually stopped at the real caravan park further down the road, like another few hundred kilometers. I guess we even picked that one on Wikicamps because it was called Dudley's Camp, which is our dog's name. So yeah, I think that's why we actually stopped here, and it turned out to be beautiful. So hopefully you enjoy this footage, and thank you for tuning in into this episode. See you next week. Have a good time. Thank you. Bye bye.